Greetings, everyone. This is Emery, your host for this season of the First Global Podcast. Welcome to today's episode. In today's episode, we'll be reviewing some team highlights and interviewing members of Team Venezuela and Team Ireland who are in an alliance together. Stay tuned to hear about their experiences during the First Global Challenge, during the Solutions Challenge of Phase 1, and how they're working together in Phase 3. Last week, teams finalized their alliances and moved on to Phase 3 of the Solutions Challenge, where they're working together to create unified global solutions to the problems they've identified. Alliances have been meeting consistently to collaborate on their projects, as well as taking time to learn from each other and build friendships. Additionally, CubeSat prototype kits and robotics kits also continue to arrive into the hands of eager students all over the globe. Time to get building. As part of their Solutions Challenge project for furthering STEM education, Team Yemen has been visiting local schools to talk about the importance of the field of STEM, the educational website they created, and their experience with First Global. Teams have also met with various politicians and leaders to discuss furthering their project solutions and improving STEM education in their countries. The mayor of Team Paraguay City has even agreed to implement their filtration system prototype in public transport buses. And Team Cambodia got support from the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Education, Youth, and Sports to launch their engaging educational website for students in Cambodia. Way to go, teams! For today's episode, we're joined by Emmanuel and Samuel from Team Venezuela and Joel and Sophia from Team Ireland. They're participants in this year's First Global Challenge, and during Phase 1 of the Solutions Challenge, they each had worked with their teams and came up with a solution to a pandemic-related problem in health. Completely independent of one another, they actually developed very similar solutions, which made them a perfect match to join forces as an alliance. Hey everyone, thank you for joining. I'm going to go ahead and begin by asking you guys the first question. Can you each describe your team's original solution and what inspired it? Emmanuel, can you go first?
Well, of course. For Team Venezuela, our solution is based on a problem that we have been facing the last years. People in Venezuela have the situation of forced migration, and that situation causes some people, some elderly people, to be left alone by themselves, or maybe they can be left alone with a grandchild. So, what we wanted to do to help these elderly people of third age was to create an assistant that could help them with their typical activities that they have to do every day, and also help them with that emotional charge that they have when they feel alone, when they feel that they need someone that's close to them and they are not close in the physical sense, but maybe have a call, maybe help them in that emotional sense.
Yeah, for sure. Joel?
Yeah, so our original idea was to make a system that was made to same like Venezuela to aid the elderly people. We felt that the elderly people came off really badly after the isolation in Ireland because of COVID. And so basically our idea is a web app that can help elderly people with, say, you're able to call people, you're able to call an emergency button, you're able to watch documentaries or things like that. So yeah, that's what our idea is.
Yeah. Also, Sophia, would you like to add to that answer as well? Like, what inspired you about your original solution too?
Yeah, so basically we saw that the elderly probably came off the worst from COVID in Ireland anyway, and no one was really paying attention to that. They had the highest mortality rates, and they spent ages in isolation without seeing family members or friends. So yeah, we did create our solution inspired off of that.
Awesome. It's so interesting to see how both of you guys on both teams were able to come up with solutions together and had similar places that inspired it as well. What did you guys learn throughout the process of coming up with your solution? Samuel, would you like to take that first?
Yeah, sure. So basically, our main theme was health and we were talking about mental health. So with that, we can say, or what I learned about this is that mental health matters beyond your physical health. If your mental health is not healthy, you can get sick about that. So that's what we learn about this, that we have to be so careful with that, because if something went wrong with that, you're going to have a really bad situation, and even though a good moment in your life, you know.
Yeah, that's so true, especially during all the times with COVID. I agree that like mental health is something that's really come to the surface as an issue that a lot of people are starting to like focus more about and learn more about as well. Joel, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, so we learned a lot coming up with our solution as well. And one of the main things we learned when deciding what to do was that we need to listen to everyone's opinion, because everyone's opinion is important, of course. So and that was one thing. And another thing is that we learned to see the world through the eyes of an elderly person. So like with all their restrictions and things, and that helped us to make our solution even better. And we learned a lot of technical skills as well, like designing in CAD and PowerPoint designing, how to talk to people, like influential people, like how to talk to them. And we also learned HTML to make our web app. So we learned a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. It's so great to hear about technical skills that you guys are learning through First Global, obviously, because this entire organization focuses so heavily on STEM. And something that's really important to us as an organization is also the soft skills that you learned. So that is also great to hear about. The like empathy and level of communication that you guys are able to gain is also really important. So in addition to that, when I mention, maybe communication and cooperation, I want to know how and why did you all form this alliance? Samuel?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we had several meetings with other teams looking for the best idea that we can merge, just one. So basically, we made alliance with Ireland because they have the same subject about elderly people. So with that, both ideas converged in just one, because in our project we made robot assistants. So we have a tablet in this robot which has an application which call like a family, or even though calling the emergency if something went wrong. So with that, we can merge both ideas in just one app, or even use both of them in the robot, because they can integrate by itself. So that's the main thing that's why we're on alliance. So I don't know if you have something else to add to this.
Yeah, Joel, what about from... Go ahead.
Yeah, so we saw their project summary on the forum, and it seemed we were like shocked that we'd found the exact same problem to do with the elderly people and their health. So we also found that we had like very compatible ideas. While they made a solution with hardware and we made a solution with web app, it's very easy that we can merge as well. So we realized that our project wasn't the complete solution. And when we found Venezuela's idea, I think we have a complete solution now.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. After working together, that's so great that you feel like the solution is more holistic. That being said, you guys still have more to go through in the First Global Challenge. So what are you excited about for your alliance and phase 3? Sophia, would you like to begin with that one?
Yeah, sure. I think both solutions had their strengths and weaknesses, our original one. And we saw that like anywhere that we lacked in, Venezuela normally made up for that they maybe had a few weaknesses, and we also kind of had a solution for that. So as Joel said, we have a more complete project. It's also great to be working with them again. They're such a great team, really talented, very friendly, and we're thrilled to be working with them again. Another thing is it's great to know that we're solving a real problem here. Like, we've identified something that is a major problem, and we could potentially be helping a lot of people with this, and that's great to know.
Yeah, certainly. Emmanuel, can you add to this? Oh, I think you're still on mute.
Well, of course, the first thing I have to say is that, as Sofia said, our projects have their weaknesses and strengths. And I think the projects are perfect to each other because what we focused on was, as I said, was on hardware, and Team Ireland focused on software. And we're trying to merge this idea together. And I think it can really have an impact on people, because we have had many reviews of elderly people which we have presented the robot and said, hey, what would you think if we got you this? And maybe it's not the people that that are in the situation of being alone, but just for an assistance, and they say they love it. So we think that, as Sofia said, that this could be really making a difference with a project that has just been made in 6 weeks. So I'm really excited to see the power that it can have on people.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that's a lot of people's favorite parts about STEM and like inventing and creating something, is to like see how it can really impact people's lives, and that like it really is something that people would use. So even though, yeah, like I said, there's still more to go in the first global challenge, you guys have already gone through phase 1 and phase 2. So I'm curious to know, what have you enjoyed about the Solutions Challenge and the 2021 First Global Challenge overall? Joel?
Yeah, so one of the things that I really enjoyed anyway about the Solutions Challenge and the competition overall is that it's great that we're having such a connection and collaboration with different countries. I think it's really amazing that there's people from so many different places across the globe who are working together with this one unified goal, that's to better our communities with STEM.
Yeah, certainly. Samuel?
Yeah, sure. I would like to add, as a mentor, more than beyond the communication between the countries and the contact that we have with others. So, as I said, I would like to take and speak as a mentor, because I have enjoyed so much how my students enjoy every single step in this competition. Every single screw that they place on the robot, the smile in their faces are everything for me. So the fact that we are teaching, that we are making life changers or change makers, it's a fact that I'm really enjoying, and I'm really proud of this. So as well as Manuel, we can say that we are building are really change makers in these competitions.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that answer. And I like totally relate to that as well. I've, been in the position as a teacher, and it really is something that is like so inspiring and makes the work feel really fulfilling as well. Emmanuel, I noticed that you unmuted. Did you possibly want to add an answer to this question as well? Or
Yeah. Well, as Samuel said, it's really, really powerful when you see the capacity that these kids have to fall in love with a cause. For Team Venezuela, we have no kids with experience before in robotics. Although 2 of the kids are now with us, were in the last edition, they had never touched a part of the rep kit, for example. And to see how they can, in so little time, fall in love with that cause of making a robot, of falling in love with the STEM, it's really inspiring for us. And to see that they change behaviors, that they change things that they didn't even know that they had. They discover new abilities. And for us, I think that's the goal of this, to prepare the people for the future and even for the present, because we're having this time where we say that robotics is the future, STEM is the future, but I think it's a present already. And to see that the kids can learn that so fast, I think that's the most important thing to take off first goal.
Yeah, I agree. That is certainly true when we talk about robotics and technology being the future, when maybe, it's not the future anymore. We're there. We're at the future that people were referencing before. So I also wanted to ask you guys, what does it mean to have the opportunity to participate in the first global challenge? Sophia?
Yeah. So obviously, we're really proud to represent our country in an international competition. That's surreal. It's great. And I think I speak for everyone when I say that we've all really learned a lot from this. Like personally, I've learned how to use FreeCAD, how to design a PowerPoint, and all that. That's great. And it's a global competition, so you can learn from and collaborate with so many different countries. Like some of the stuff that people have done is incredible and really inspirational too.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The aspect of getting to like learn from your peers and see maybe like different cultures as well is a really important part of First Global as well. Emmanuel?
Well, for us, I think it has so much meaning because, as people know, our country has been through so much, and for us, first, it's not just a competition. It's in a sense the light at the end of the tunnel. As I was saying, robotics for us, or our vision is that robotics is not something that's for tomorrow. It's for today, and it's the solution today. So we are trying to build a generation of change makers, like Samuel said, and we have been a little bit held back because of the pandemic and all those things that have been happening to all of us. But for us, STEM and First Global means the opportunity to make that people, to create that generation, to create that community that can say we want to solve things and we want to make a better future. So for us, first, as I said, is the light at the end of the tunnel, and the beginning for a better world.
That's so sweet. And I love that answer as well. Yeah, it's just amazing. And I wanted to also hear about your guys's like, I guess, like development through First Global and your like careers or just like development in STEM. I know that you guys touched on this a little bit with how you've been inspired, but overall, how has your First Global experience shaped your understanding and approach to STEM? Samuel, would you like to go first?
Yes. So I've been in First Global for 4 years. I started in Mexico City in 2018. I started as a driver and team captain. After that, I have the pleasure to be a mentor of wonderful teammates and kids. So the main thing that I learned about this is like STEM is not just a subject in the school. It's a lifestyle. With STEM, you can do big changes and contribute to the world and help people. And with that, you can know that you have in your hands the way to save others, to help others, and it's a really huge way to learn and really huge way to make things good, you know. So that's the main thing that I learned, that we can, with the STEM, we can do a bunch of stuff and help people with it. More than just a subject as a science, technology, engineering, mathematics. More than just that, you know, the thing that you can do with it is the main thing that I learned about this.
Yeah, certainly. Like STEM is super interesting in and of itself. I'm sure that all of you guys enjoy taking classes in STEM, but a really exciting and maybe sometimes, you know, the most exciting component isn't just STEM by itself, but like how it can be applied to the real world. Mm-hmm. Joel, would you like to add your experience to the answer too?
Yeah, definitely. Our experience in First Global has really changed our understanding of STEM a lot. We see STEM more as a tool now rather than a subject, as Samuel said. We can use that tool to help other people, and I think that's a great thing. Another thing we've learned as a team is that if one way doesn't work, there's always another way out there somewhere. You just need to put your heads together and find a way around it.
Yeah, that is certainly true. And then we're coming down to the last few questions that I have for this interview. As I'm sure you must have noticed while listening to the podcast or watching these videos, if you have been keeping up, is that I always ask, what advice do you have for other students who are interested in pursuing STEM? And I wanted to start with Emmanuel for this question.
Well, a story that I always like to share is that I started in First Global when I was 17. I was in school. I started as a driver too. And I was going with the mindset of studying something that had to do with business. I had never had in mind to study engineering or anything related to that. And 5 years later, I can say that I'm right now a student of an engineering student, and I'm somebody that has fallen in love with the first global vision. I'm someone that every year is waiting for this time of the year to be with all the people. Well, this year we haven't had that opportunity, but I would say to these people that wants to enter STEM, just give it a try, because you will not only learn about a bunch of stuff, you will discover yourself. You will discover the things that you can do and that you didn't know that you could do, the things that you really like. For example, it's so inspiring to know that kids also through our team can discover the things that they are good at. For example, designing, taking pictures, talking to people, communication. It's so inspiring. And I always say, first, it's not something that you learn. It's something that helps you discover who you are and who you want to be. So my advice, just give it a try.
Yeah, exactly. Dip your toe in and just see what it is that you're able to discover. Joel, what would you like to say?
Yeah, definitely. Just to add on there, I remember when I was starting in STEM, I didn't really know anything, and I was sort of scared that, like, everyone else will know more stuff than me, and I'll sort of be left out. So one of the things I would certainly say is, even if you don't know how to do something, there will always be people there to show you the right way forward. And there's certainly people who can point you in the right direction, and then you do the rest by yourself. Another thing I would say is that, like, when you're doing STEM, have fun, be creative. That's what STEM is all about.
Yeah, thank you guys all for sharing your answers for this question. And I hope it is helpful to students maybe who are participating in First Global in the future or pursuing STEM in general. The final question that I have for you guys, if you do want to, is there anything else you guys would like to say?
Certainly, I just want to say thanks to First and everyone there. Thanks so much for hosting the competition. It's a great opportunity for all of us, and we've really had fun in it. So thanks so much.
Yeah, I would like to say the same. Thanks for all the First Global staff that is doing this work, even though in these difficult times. And just to say to all the teams and all the First Global staff is that we cannot wait longer to meet you all again and to see you all in person, and that we love this community.
And I would like to say thanks to you, Emery, because giving us this opportunity. And I'm so proud to be here and so happy that we can do things and work together.
Yeah, thank you for inspiring people to continue on with STEM. It's great the work that you do.
Oh, you guys are all so sweet. Thank you for sharing your gratitude. That's so great to hear. And I'm sure the staff here at First Global will also be very happy to hear as well. Those are all the questions that I have for you guys. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Manuel, Joel, Sophia, and Samuel for being a part of this interview. And thank you all for listening to this episode. Make sure to subscribe for future updates, and we look forward to continuing to discover and recover throughout the rest of the season.